Hey, welcome to the Star Wars Unlearned podcast. My name is Josiah Shuett, and I'm joined by Nathan Hawley. What we're doing is we're looking at Star Wars from the perspective of its creator. So we're turning off our fan brains and really just trying to uncover the story that Lucas is trying to tell. We're in the middle of our series on the Phantom Menace, where we explore the filmmaking, the history, the mythology, and everything else that Lucas and his team used to bring this first chapter of the Star Wars saga to life. So join us as we dive in and unlearn what we have learned about the Star Wars story.
Okay, man, I got some questions.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so I've always enjoyed the scene, but as I've grown older, listened to more fans, listened to the criticism, here's some questions. Why on earth does Darth Maul die? I mean, I know we have to, but I mean, like, you think he would force push Obi-Wan down, but right, he's just trying to throw sparks at him. You think he would lift him up with the Force and do something to him? How can Obi-Wan flip himself up and Darth Maul not see that coming? You know, because the big question everyone has is like, how can Obi-Wan say, I have the high ground in Revenge of the Sith? Yeah, it doesn't work here. You know what I mean? Like, Darth Maul has the high ground. Obi-Wan does the same move Anakin does and totally wins. What's the difference? I hear a lot of criticism like that, and I don't have a good answer to it other than George just didn't think about it. So I don't know. I've never heard George comment on that, but I want to know if you've heard anything or what.
Yeah, let me see. Let me gather my thoughts here, because there's a lot of layers to that.
There are. Sorry, I just nailed you like 7 questions.
It's more like one question. It's more just there's different ways you can answer it, because part of it is, you know, it's a movie. The bad guy's got to die somehow. You know, There's that answer that no one wants to hear that answer though.
Right.
Even if it is a lot of
And that may be all George
for
thought.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I don't know. But,
well, for sure, Lucas didn't have. Let's start with the Revenge of the Sith. For sure, Lucas didn't have that end fight in his head yet.
Right.
Like with how that happened, because it actually, even that fight was a different ending, was choreographed and planned by Nick Gillard.
Interesting.
That and everyone on set really, really liked that ending, and everyone was pushing for it. According to Gillard, everyone was telling Lucas, "No, we want to do it this way," and he said, "Nope, it's got to be this way, the way it is in the movie."
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no, I think that might be on Nick Gillard's YouTube channel. The way that actually went down was one of the fights he might have filmed and put up on his YouTube channel. But,
oh man, I'd be really curious about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he describes it in one of his interviews. He describes it, how it goes down. It is cool.
Yeah. Well, we will get to that.
From a choreography standpoint, it is cool. But yeah, so high ground. Oh man, that's a whole can of worms too in Revenge of the Sith that fans, I think, have gone crazy with that.
Yes.
But yeah, so we'll leave that there.
We'll get there. Yeah.
But but for this scene, I mean, if you look at Darth, I think it's best to, again, kind of disentangle what you know as fans from your experience watching this movie, because I think, again, Lucas wants it. He's making this movie for an audience who doesn't know what's happening. This is their first time watching this, and your first time seeing this, you're not really thinking about that. And what you see is a Darth Maul being surprised, right? And I love, and you see Obi-Wan, you see just their faces change throughout the scene, because before, again, Obi-Wan was very, intense and has teeth gritted, and he was, we say unbalanced, angry, and then he's the one who's surprised. He gets thrown for a loop, and he's now dangling. His lightsaber falls, and so now Darth Maul is taunting him, and I love that kind of scowl that Darth Maul kind of gives at him right before he jumps up there, because it's sort of, he's literally above. He has the high ground. He has the power, and there's no way this Jedi is getting out of this. He doesn't have a lightsaber. What's he gonna do? I've knocked him off a platform twice during this fight. He's only just gonna fall from here. And so I think it's, again, as Anakin, same thing. It's the arrogance of the Sith that fails, and even though the roles are reversed in Revenge of the Sith, where you underestimate my power. That's what Darth Maul is thinking right here. Like, I'm way more powerful. I got the better of him. The last thing on his mind as a Sith is failure, is losing to this guy. And so I think that, I think he's just surprised by he's let his guard down because he thinks he's won, and so Obi-Wan kind of quickly jumps up, grabs and takes his master's lightsaber. Darth Maul just wasn't expecting that, and you can see the surprise in his face when he gets cut in half. So I think it never bothered me, I guess, because it always just seemed like the scene is telling us that Darth Maul he thinks he's got it all. He thinks he's about to win. I'm just waiting for your hands to get tired so I can enjoy watching you fall down the pit. But then, the last thing he expects is Obi-Wan to flip up and get him. So I don't, and again, part of that is it's a movie, and so you got to find a way to. It's like there's not gonna be a perfect logic to everything,
right?
So I don't know if I have a great answer for that other than just those thoughts. Where I think it's, he gets surprised just like Qui-Gon got surprised. And what I think what I really like about this scene is the symbolism of Obi-Wan losing his lightsaber, losing his ability to defend himself, and he takes his master's sword. Like he becomes Qui-Gon. He takes a moment, breathes. He's in the moment, like Qui-Gon always is teaching. Stay in the moment, and he succeeds with that. And by taking on his master's sword, he's visually carrying on his master's mission by using his saber to defeat Darth Maul, and that's of course, he'll continue to carry on his master's mission by training Anakin. So I just like, for me, the whole focus has always kind of been on that aspect of it.
Yeah. That's cool.
I like that. But I don't know. Just the, I don't know if there's an answer to that.
Okay.
I have for the, those are just some thoughts that I have.
No, that's okay. You haven't heard George say anything comment on any of that or anything?
No,
okay.
I will. Yeah, because it's clearly not important to him, I guess. But
this is just a serial, and he's having fun, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
I've always
a lot
thought
of things that don't make sense. But.
I have always I understand where people are coming from when they say those kind of things. I've not heard George comment on anything regarding this. My personal 2 cents is that I have a funny feeling this is where Obi-Wan learned how important the high ground is. Like maybe he learned how to counter this move, having lived it.
Yeah.
Whereas like a Darth Maul wouldn't have known that. That's just my 2 cents. Like maybe,
that's cool. Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, okay. So if a Sith tries to jump over my head, I know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting that Darth Maul just like watches him go over. You know what I mean? Like that's always seemed a little odd to me because you think like he'd foresee that and be ready for that, or like why he just doesn't do a like big force push to push him down the hole there. So there are some what ifs, but I was curious on if George ever said anything. But again, I do like it. I like the fact that we see Obi-Wan calmer now. He's learning his lesson. He's in the moment. I can't help but think of like Luke when he's trying to pull the lightsaber out of the snow in Hoth. When Obi-Wan's pulling the lightsaber here, like it's small, it's slow, it's not this quick. Like it gets quick, but Darth Maul picks up on that. He's sensing like, okay, you're up to something. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think you're right. There's a lot of arrogance to the Sith, and I think we see that here. It may have just blinded him,
Yeah.
But and I also think it just is a testimony to Obi-Wan's skill and just how cool of a Jedi he is, both spiritually and just physically again. But I don't know. That's all Nathan. That has nothing to do with George. I have no idea what George had in mind here. Other than what, like,
but that's a good, I think it's a good analysis, though. All the stuff, because you pieced it together with other things about what Lucas has said about this or this other thing, and based on that, you kind of come to that conclusion. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. That's a cool way of looking at it.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, that's all me. that's not George whatsoever.
That's okay.
But
at least you said it. Yeah. As long as you say it's you, not him. Then,
that's right.
No one can blame you if it turns out there's this interview from 1999 where Lucas said it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just qualify it. If people are mad with that theory, that's just my theory. You could be mad with it. But, yeah. I do find it interesting. It takes, like, now that I'm actually watching it, like, Obi-Wan gets up there pretty quick. Like, that force jump is pretty quick. It's a lot faster than I was thinking. And he lands pretty quick. But what looks so slow is that Darth Maul is kind of watching him as he takes a while to grab the lightsaber and swing it. You think like Darth Maul would have the sense to at least put up a block. but he doesn't. And again, he may just be shocked.
I think he's surprised. I mean, you see it on his face. He's just surprised and shocked, and I think he thinks he's already won. And so he's kind of like, wow, that's interesting. As he jumps over, I'm like, wow, well, didn't expect that. Yeah. Oh, he cut me in half. Didn't expect that either. I think because it's the same thing that happens to Anakin. Anakin doesn't, right. He should have seen Obi-Wan, getting ready to cut him in half. He's gonna, again, you can anticipate the other person anticipating your move when you're playing chess, right? So like the Sith and their arrogance, failed to do that. So I think that's probably what's happening here. One, again, kind of cool filmmaking thing, not necessarily in universe thing, is that shot of Obi-Wan going over Darth Maul's head and landing was filmed in reverse. So that's the only way they could have done that stunt. So not the shot of him like rising out of the pit, but the shot of him flipping over. It's the next shot of him flipping over his head and landing. The only way to do that and have him like land properly and hit that pose right was to do it in reverse.
Huh. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. And you can't tell. Looking at it plays just fine, but that's a fun little trick in filming. There's a lot of shots in movies that are filmed in reverse that you never would have expected because it just makes things, especially when you want to line up something perfectly. Like you ever see a shot of someone like swinging a bat or like taking a punching the camera. You don't want to rely on someone to stop their punch perfectly before hitting the camera or stopping the bat perfectly before they hit the camera. So what you'll do is you'll start with the bat at the camera or start with your fist at the camera and just pull it back. And then just play the footage in reverse, and the punch lands perfectly where it needs to be. That's cool. The bat lands perfectly where it needs to be. So in this case, a person lands perfectly where they need to be.
Wait, so which part? Because there's like two scenes here. Like he pulls himself up. There's that where he comes up the shaft, and then there's a scene. It cuts where you can see him doing a clear flip over him from like right behind.
It's the flip.
It's the flip. Okay.
Yeah, the part of him rising up. I think that's just a wire trick.
Yeah, it looks like a wire.
Pulled up. Yeah. So, but it's the flip. Yeah.
That part's watch it again because that's. Yeah, that's really amazing. Okay.
If you look at it, it'd be really hard to do that.
So it's almost like he sort of does a twist and a flip at the same time. Wow.
Yeah, it's really complicated. Yeah, and it's right. It's a twist, flip, and to line that up and do that perfectly would be really hard to do, but it's much easier to do it in reverse.
Wow, interesting. Huh. There you go. That's cool. You never tell. Like you wouldn't look at that and be like, something's weird there. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then, oh man, then the total slice in the gut here. You just feel it. I mean, just the sound and the way Ray Park plays that. It's that one of the only times we hear his voice. And I always thought it was interesting. You see that like the red mist come up. It's just like, ooh, that's kind of graphic.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. Not as near as graphic as it could be, but for Star Wars, that's kind of a like, whoa.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just Darth Maul's utter shock on his face. And I remember watching him fall down. Is it okay? Sorry, I'm watching it at the same time. It's interesting. Obi-Wan kind of has this look of like, I won. I'm kind of not sure what's going to happen at the same time, but he gives this like, this little quick like twitch of his eye looking at him as he falls down. Like, good riddance, like,
yeah. And Obi-Wan, he kind of almost looks a little bit shocked too, like, "Wow, I just did that."
Yeah,
kind of just a little bit. There's a lot of stuff going on in his face right there. Yeah,
yeah, it's great acting on Ewan's part there. I mean, you could read all kinds of stuff into that. I think it's cool too. Like, maybe the Sith underestimate the Jedi. Like maybe Darth Maul. Part of what surprised him so much is he didn't think Obi-Wan could jump that high or use the Force that strongly or whatever. Especially as a Padawan, I would think that might play something into it. Just the arrogance to that.
Yeah.
Man, and then I remember the first time I saw this, and I think I remember even in the theater when Darth Maul actually splits in half and goes down. Everyone was just like, "Oh,
yeah."
I remember going, "Wow, that's pretty intense." And the two halves like spinning down. It's like, whoa,
yeah,
that's pretty violent.
And of course, the irony being that Lucas did that so people would know for sure that he was dead.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, well, maybe Boba Fett could come back. Like, well, I'm going to cut him in half to make sure that he's dead. And of course, actually, no, he's going to come back in Clone Wars. So. Oh, well.
Yeah, and then he comes back. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Which is very...
Star Wars characters can survive anything, I guess.
That's right. It is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So, and then we get the death scene, official death scene here.
Yes.
Any comments on that one from the big GL.
Yeah, it's just yeah. So Lucas has a quote here, kind of about the whole film, but specifically about Qui-Gon here and Obi-Wan. But he says that duality is one of the main themes of the film.
Mm.
There is duality in the character of the Queen, who trades places with one of her handmaidens, Padme, as a decoy. Duality is also present in the characters of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. In the beginning, Obi-Wan is at odds with Qui-Gon, who rebels against the Jedi rules, but by the end of the film, he has become Qui-Gon by taking on his rebellious personality and his responsibilities.
That's cool. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah. So yeah, I love this kind of this completion of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's arc here, where they've been at odds with the whole Anakin situation and Jar Jar at the beginning too on a smaller level, but now Obi-Wan, not only does he visually take on his master's role by holding his master's lightsaber, that's sword that represents the Jedi's duty, that Jedi is who a Jedi is. As Obi-Wan says in episode 2, this weapon is your life. Like this is who you are. He's now taking on his master's lightsaber, and he's going to take on his goal and his belief that Anakin is the chosen one. Obi-Wan, it's not really clear if Obi-Wan believes that in this movie yet, but he definitely believes that later on. That original idea that Qui-Gon had. So he believes that, and that's why he's so upset at Revenge of the Sith. Like, you were the chosen one. That's why he was so. It's such a betrayal to him at that point. But and also just cool. in mythology, specifically the monomyth or the hero's myth, the mentor has to leave. So Qui-Gon has to die. Obi-Wan and Anakin, they now have to cling to each other to move on from this, right? Both of their father figures are kind of gone, and so that's why Obi-Wan has to die in Episode 4. That's why Yoda has to die in Return of the Jedi. So the hero has to be on their own in order to succeed. So Obi-Wan has to Qui-Gon has to fall so that Obi-Wan can succeed. It'd be completely wrong to have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan take down Darth Maul together. In that mythologically speaking, it has the mentor has to leave Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan has to be by himself, hanging. Have nothing else to. No help is going to come to him except his training from his master. He's got to and embody his master, become his master in order to succeed. That's what Luke does. That's what Anakin does. So
wow, I had never thought about that, but you're right. I've never heard that. That's cool. I was just even thinking Anakin Revenge of the Sith when Dooku knocks Obi-Wan out, and then Anakin's got to take up the throne.
There you go,
sort of thing. Yeah, wow.
As Anakin does his darker version of the hero's journey, where he kind of that's true. That's a good point. I never caught that, but that's the same idea.
That's cool. I love the mythology stuff. That's really fun. Not that the rest of it's not cool, but I also think this is just Nathan. What a powerful scene. I just feel like they did that death scene with Qui-Gon really well. Especially Ewan. I just feel like he acted that so well. It's really powerful. You feel the emotion of it, which is kind of ironic. Like we were talking about with Jedi, they don't express a lot of emotion, but just to feel that and to see that,
that's true.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's a good point because the Jedi have been so stoic and so powerful, and they don't need to. We're never gonna see a Jedi cry. When you start this movie, like, Jedi's are never gonna cry. They're never gonna bleed. But now the Jedi have kind of like fallen apart in this moment. We're like, wow, they're very vulnerable now, physically and emotionally. Like they've they can die, they can bleed, they can cry, and they can they're vulnerable. So that's a great observation. Yeah, it's at this moment that the Jedi kind of been unraveled and kind of the Sith have rocked them. The Sith have done some damage, and they've kind of revealed how weak they can be. Yeah,
and it's well done. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So and the music, obviously the music always good. It's just never not a bad. I mean, it's just, John Williams, man, he's awesome.
Totally,
he doesn't do bad music. It's just really cool. So, and just the overhead shot too, like of just seeing the devastation of it, and just everyone there just weeping over Qui-Gon. It's like, wow. Obi-Wan, man, he goes through so much. I
know. He's like the roughest life of anyone. He's the worst character. I mean, Anakin actually, probably Anakin, but second only to Anakin, Obi-Wan has a very, very hard time.
Yeah, they lose everything. Wow. So, anyway, any other thoughts on that before we kind of do the epilogue here? Wrap it up?
No, I think we can go into it. Yeah, let's go into it. Let's wrap it up.
So, Palpatine comes...
Yeah, and so this is that scene I was talking about where the Trade Federation are kind of kicked out. And that a lot of the dialogue here was originally going to happen in the throne room early on, still in the middle of the battle, but realized, this works better here, and so they filmed it. There's a lot you can totally tell. This is one of those scenes where the Obi-Wan's wig gives away.
I was just about to comment on that.
But it's this whole scene was very much kind of constructed out of bits and pieces. Like you'll see the Naboo guards standing in the background. You'll see the same face a couple times, like it's the same guy, and they didn't get all the actors. Like that's the famous shot of the not Sam Jackson. Mace Windu. Yeah. And they have Ben Burt, Rick McCallum, and other people. I think with the editor. Oh, I can't remember his name. But they make some cameos there as like Naboo. Some people are like, I don't know, noble class, or the not noble class. The I don't know. So they're all dressed up and they're with the Queen, so they're supposed to be special. But yes, this was filmed later. I can't remember. I don't remember if Jake Lloyd looks older in this film, in this scene or not.
He looks really weird in this scene. Yep. Him and Obi-Wan both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
is that Ahmed Best dressed up as supposed to be the Sam Jackson Mace Windu back there?
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's some other guy.
Okay, that looks like Ahmed Best from here, but
it does kind of. It's true. It does kind of look like him now that I remember looking at it. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, this is fun because we see Palpatine now, Chancellor. We say congratulations on your election. So last time we left him, he was confident he was going to be Chancellor, but we don't know for sure yet. But now he is. He has been elected Chancellor. So, yeah, and it's just so funny seeing like the Trade Federation, get escorted away and him just walking, up to him like just they don't even know they don't know who that's the guy who's betrayed them. They don't know that that's the guy who couldn't care less about them, just kind of threw them away. And it's kind of starts this pattern, right? We've seen Sidious now use these, he uses all these characters and their desires, their desires for power, like Anakin's, to gain his own power. He uses their ambitions, their desires to achieve his own goals. So as our first kind of view of one completion of that cycle, that arc of Sidious.
Wow.
Moving the chess pieces in order to win. And of course, right, but you don't really get the sense of it. Again, it's just friendly Palpatine. He's got a smile on his face, and he's just very, very pleasant. And what does he say? Together we shall bring peace and prosperity back to the Republic, which to me echoes, we will bring peace to the galaxy in Revenge of the Sith. Like we shall bring peace. When he had a creepy smile at the end of that scene. And, yeah, and I love him. We shall watch your career with great interest.
Yep.
It seems very benign and nothing but like, there's so much, so much scheming and evil going on underneath that. So it's just so fun. This is one of those great scenes to watch in hindsight after watching the rest of the saga, to go back and see, oh wow, look what he's actually saying here. Look what's actually happening.
Yeah, talk about foreshadow. This and the next scene, right? Wow. So do you know? Maybe we talked about this. You have to. I'm sure I'll remember what you start talking about it if we did. Does Palpatine know who Anakin is at this point, or has he just caught his attention? Like, does he know Chosen One stuff? Does he know? Is he thinking?
Well, that's the question, isn't
apprentice at this point, or is he just? What what's going on? Has George commented on that?
Let's see. I have to think a bit because I know I have some information on that.
I can't remember if we talked about
originally.
This.
We originally, there was an idea that I think it's pretty confirmed now that he abandoned this, but the idea was that Palpatine was the one, Sidious was the one who influenced the midichlorians to create Anakin.
That was in the script, right?
Yeah, it was in the script of Revenge of the Sith where he revealed that, but that was deleted. And then Lucas has said I think in the archive book, that it had nothing that he talked about the process of Anakin's birth, and that it was the wills and the midichlorians of their own will doing it, not Sidious. So seems like he walked back from the idea. So yeah, that does. So when you I guess let's clarify. Are you asking whether Sidious knows that Anakin is the chosen one, or does he know that Anakin exists as a person at all, or does he know that Anakin just say like how much does he? Well, I guess what are you asking? What do you mean when does he know about Anakin?
Yeah, I guess what does he know of Anakin at this point? Is he thinking Chosen One? Is he thinking future Padawan? Is he just like, that was interesting. We'll just see what happens with you. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think he's, I don't know. I don't know. I should just say, I don't know. I need to stop rambling with, because he clearly, that I watch your career with great interest is clearly, I'm going to pay attention to you. You're interesting. I'm going to see where this goes.
Right.
But doesn't seem like he's really thinking apprentice until like really to episode 3, you know, because like he's I think Dave Filoni's talked about this where, you know, Palpatine isn't protecting Anakin through the Clone Wars or through anything. He just kind of he's fanning the flames of his, you know, his pride and all that. He wants to. He's a backup plan maybe, or he's got multiple plates spinning. You know, Anakin is one of them. So, but Dooku's another one, and so if Dooku turns out to be that better option, he's going to go with that. So at this point, I think Anakin's just interesting to him.
Okay,
but that's just what I think. I haven't heard anything confirming exactly if Lucas has said exactly what Palpatine is thinking at this point.
Okay,
but that's definitely something I'll have to go back and look for. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious. I'm really curious what Palpatine knows, and I know George kind of intentionally didn't let us know what he knows. You know, he left that largely up to mystery, and especially in the Clone Wars. I think Dave even talked about that. Like, we try not to show what this guy knows. I mean, bits and pieces, but not. Yeah, we don't know what he knows, and how much is he just going with the fly, and how much is this going to according to plan, and so it's interesting. So anyway, I'm just full of questions. Sorry to get us off.
No, you're good. I'm just full of non-answers. So.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're a great team.
That's right. So, any other thoughts on that one? Then we go to Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Just Palpatine's the most interesting thing I think in this scene, where you know, he's just as happy as everyone else there, just for very different reasons. You know, he's genuinely happy, but not because the people were saved. Like, you know, as we talked about, he's the one who invaded his own planet. He's the one who was killing his own people. But he a similar thing we've talked about before, where he says the truth a lot of the time, where he says, you know, your boldness has saved our people, Your Majesty. That's true. Like, he's actually giving Padme credit that anyone would give her. Good people would say that too. Like, the hero could say that to her, and it would still be just as true as if even though the villain's saying it, that it was her. She's the one who stepped up. The Queen has accomplished her arc. That's another big thing that's happening here, is that she won. The problem of the movie has been solved. Naboo has been saved, and it was Padme who did it. And so her arc is complete. And oddly enough, it's the villain who says it, who states the completion of it. Your boldness saved the people. She became bold. She was kind of cowering and hiding. Wasn't doing the right thing before. Wasn't stepping up. Wasn't taking responsibility. Now she has. But that's the last couple things.
Yeah, that's good.
But
that's good. I've often wondered if that's why the Sith were able to get as far as they do in the movies, is they're honestly telling the truth most of the time. You know, like you can't sense deception in them, because there's, or at least I would assume most of the case, because he's genuinely happy. He's telling the truth right here.
Yes. The art of lying is to tell a few lies, but tell very, very few important, to make sure they're important lies. That they're, you know, if you lie all the time, you're not going to get anywhere. But tell the truth strategically is almost, the worst liars, the ones who know when to lie. You know, the people who lie all the time, everyone can see through that. But he can. He has that strategy. Yeah.
Nice. I also forgot to point out the Senate guards. They're cool. We get that little foreshadow of the royal guards coming up in Return of the Jedi. But I like that. It's just a nice little touch. They look similar, same kind of look. Yeah.
Well, and they're blue. The color change, right? Because like they're blue right now. We talked about the red of Palpatine's office spreads. So like it's just his home, I guess, in this movie is red, or kind of maroon. That kind of that color. Then that spreads to the guards, right, in his office, and they start becoming red. And then of course, so all of a sudden, you know, the whole galaxy is, you know, bathed in blood when it's, you know, when there's war, you know. So civil war in the original trilogy. So it's cool seeing the Senate guards, or the Chancellor's guards, or I don't know exactly what they're called exactly, but at least that's right, those Senate guards, because he's got that, but then all of a sudden he gets his own guard. They're the red. Those guys are always so fascinating to me. Like, what's their story? Who are they? They like seem so mysterious. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, oh, Boba Fett was so mysterious. I always looked at the guards, the Emperor's guards. I'm like, what are they up to? Like, they don't speak. What's their story? They seem so cool and mysterious. Yeah.
They must be. Yeah. And what kind of fighting can they do? And I agree.
Yeah.
We never get to find out, really. So
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But
now
that's
Yoda.
Yes, we can go. Yep. So this actually was the first CGI Yoda shot ever was in Phantom Menace. There actually was one shot of that's him walking.
He's walking. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only shot of Yoda. Actually, and now it's the only original shot from the theatrical version of the movie that's still in there. Is the CG shot of him walking. So that's the other than that, and you can tell he kind of looks from the distance. He still kind of looks like the Phantom Menace Yoda a little bit. But the rest of it, of course, is the new version.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell it looks different. It's a little darker.
Yeah.
And but it's a neat shot, and it's interesting. Well, you should tell me what Georgia said, because there's a lot of interesting things happening here. Foreshadow, the lighting, the backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. So, what do you know, my friend?
Well, again, we've talked about before how sunset can have multiple meanings in terms of lighting. It's magic hour. It's also called golden hour, where the lighting is very soft. It's pleasing, so a lot of people like to shoot in that just because the light looks good. But you can also use it in a very thematic way or storytelling way, as we saw earlier in the film, as things were getting darker on Coruscant. The Queen was losing hope. Anakin was losing hope of becoming a Jedi. Qui-Gon was losing hope of the Chosen One being recognized. So, and now we're going to transition to the night scene of Qui-Gon's funeral. So we are going to a dark place here in the next scene. So we are transitioning into that. But along with that, thematically, Yoda is bringing up a lot of concerns he has about Anakin's future, which is going to go in a very dark place. But I also love, so I think that's mostly where the lighting is coming from, is that it's just practically, just story-wise, while it's end of the day, at nighttime, that's where the funeral is, so it has to be sunset. If this is supposed to happen right before the funeral, then it's going to have to be at sunset. But also just thematically, and the picture you're painting is that when light is fading, that means the darkness is creeping in physically, but not what does that mean thematically? Well, we're talking about Anakin. We're talking about a guy who's going to become Vader. We're talking about the ending, the end of the Jedi. They don't know that yet, but the destruction of the Jedi Order as they know it, and the Republic and all that is kind of hinted at here.
That's cool.
Although neither of them know it, Yoda just kind of has bad feelings about it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's, I think it's just in terms of the lighting. I also like that Obi-Wan and Yoda are kind of eye level, like I almost say Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan's kneeling. I just like the fact that he's kind of kneeling down to be at eye level with Yoda, and Yoda's pacing back and forth, and so like Obi-Wan's kind of adopting a posture of respect, but he is defying Yoda at the same time. So I like that, where he's embracing Qui-Gon's recklessness and defiance, and as Yoda points out. So I also find it interesting that Mace initially votes to not let Anakin into the Jedi Order, but like as you say in the Jedi Council scene. But shortly after that, when the vote is put up a second time, Yoda is the only one who doesn't want Anakin. So Mace is on Anakin's side at this point. I agree with you, the Council does, but I do not.
Gotcha. Okay.
So everyone else is on board except Yoda.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
So because I think there is that I used to think that same kind of narrative of Mace Windu hates Anakin, or he's been against him from the beginning. It's like, well, I'm not sure that's true in here, because this is an example of Mace believes in Anakin at this point, and he does in Episode 2. He says, if the prophecy is true, you're Padawan. When Obi-Wan's doubting Anakin, Mace is the one speaking in his defense. At Episode 2. So yeah, and so it's interesting, that Yoda's the last one who still kind of has some reservation about it, and just Obi-Wan's stubbornness, and recklessness, which Yoda says in Empire Strikes Back, or Obi-Wan says, "I was reckless too, if you remember." This is kind of our first look at that.
Yeah, this really has a lot of foreshadow of Yoda and Obi-Wan in the original trilogies, and their relationship, and and there's a lot of foreshadow here. We get the Emperor in the next one. We get Vader here. We get Obi-Wan and Yoda, the Twilight of the Republic. Yeah, there's a lot happening here.
And it's wild that these two will be the last Jedi, the last of the Jedi when all this is over, and of course neither of them know that, but like this great master and this kind of random Padawan, or I guess Jedi Knight at this point, he just became a Jedi, or he's about to become a Jedi Knight, or just became a Jedi Knight.
Confer on you, the
Yoda does, says, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure if that means effective immediately, or we will
good call.
when we get back or whatever. But either way, for all intents and purposes, he's a Jedi Knight right now. But it's just it's our kind of first our first scene with just Obi-Wan and Yoda, and we'll get a lot of those throughout the rest of the story. They become the two most important Jedi, really, throughout the rest of the aside from our main characters, Anakin and Luke. It's these two.
Yeah, boy, and I just think there's a lot of power in that and I think George was trying to do that intentionally, but just the line Yoda gives there, that very last line, Skywalker, your apprentice will be,
Mm-hmm.
Woo. I mean, for those who know the story, it's like, woo. That's really a loaded statement. Like this whole scene has been everything we've seen for the last 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that's neat.
And I just thought of this too, but that, the council agrees with them. And so again, Yoda doesn't have like complete power. He's like, well, the council, I've been outvoted, so there's no head of the table. The Jedi are, it's the Knights of the Round Table.
Wow.
They're all still working together. There's still a plurality of leadership, and they're, and so it's not, the dictator like Sidious that's going to take in control. There's still, even though it's a dangerous decision, the Jedi are making it as a team. Yoda's a team player, which is good. Thing to, as we talked, this movie's about teamwork.
Yeah, that's right.
Just, I don't know, little thing I just thought of, but yeah, I mean, this scene, a lot of the dialogue, is kind of self-explanatory. So there's a lot of hidden stuff here, but we can, if you want to, we can move on to the funeral.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely.
Or if you have any other ideas.
Oh, the other thing I was going to add is you just really feel the ominousness of it, if that's a word. Yeah. You just really feel something bad's going to happen. I mean, we just know it. If you know nothing else about Star Wars at this point, something bad's going to happen to Anakin. You just know it. And it's interesting how Yoda, there's no joy in Yoda here in the scene whatsoever. And how it ends with him sighing. She's like, and it's like, wow, this isn't going well.
Well, yeah, it's exactly how Yoda feels in Empire Strikes Back, where, again, Obi-Wan's trying to convince him to train Luke in this case, or that case, and Anakin. It's just Yoda's just not jazzed about training the Skywalkers. He's always just like, nah. Well, with Luke, it makes sense considering how the first one went.
Yeah.
This one, again, Yoda's very much looking to the future in these movies. These first three movies, but yeah.
This is a lesson learned, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, a Jedi should look for the future kind of thing.
Yep.
Or at least a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, and then night descends. Yeah, I never even thought about all this before. How it's nighttime and all that. Yeah. It's really cool.
Funerals in movies always happen in the rain or at nighttime.
Yes.
What's the darkest, most depressing environment you can create? It's usually rain or darkness or nighttime. Yeah.
You always see the black umbrellas, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting. So the Jedi obviously believe cremation's the way to go. Because every Jedi we see gets cremated. Do you know
actually
the significance?
Is that true? Because in Clone Wars, there's Jedi that they kind of bury, right? They have it looks like they're in the caskets, right?
Do they? When? Is it in the temple?
Oh, it's I think this is this Ahsoka's I think it's like the wrong Jedi, or there's like an explosion or something. Yeah, there's like a scene in the temple, and there's like, I think they're like caskets that get lowered, and they have the little lights that shoot up.
Yeah, I always thought that was like them going underneath to be cremated. I don't know.
Oh, you think so?
I could be wrong. But you can see they're covered with like a cloth, and then they're buried. They're put down in there, and then that light always shines up, which I always thought was like some kind of incineration or something.
Oh, but just get fried as soon as that goes. And that's interesting. Yeah, I guess it's kind of unclear. I don't know.
A good question. Yeah. Do you know? Has George said anything about this? Like, why the significance of this? Is there anything to it? Because we bookend the whole saga with a funeral one,
I mean, that is, well, I've heard he's definitely talked about that since Vader was burned, that you wanted to have that visual idea here. But in terms of what that means to the Jedi and what that, I mean, oh no. See, I wish I had remembered to look this up again, because there is a connection to like why, because again, George studied anthropology, studied mythology, so he's drawing on all these real world influences, and so there is a very good reason why so many cultures do cremate what that originally meant, and I think part of that is heat rises, flame, the spark, the embers rise up to the sky, and the sky is where the gods are. Right? There's something about that's where heaven is. That's where people think it is. There's something about joining the spirit realm, and fire has always had kind of it's always been a mysterious element, right? Like, and it's such a unique thing, and humans have always been fascinated by fire. So we can, it's like Jungle Book, the man can harness, control fire while the animals can't. So there's something to that. And I remember I've studied that and researched, and I've heard stuff about cremation before, what it means in many mythologies and spiritually through a lot of different cultures. And I don't remember enough to give you a good answer. So I'm really ending this series of podcasts on a bad note, where I'm just whiffing on every single one of these. I should have done way more research for this particular episode. My bad. But you've had such good questions, so it's hard to. You're a good sparring partner. You keep me on my toes. So that's a great question, and add that to the list of a million things I gotta come back to you with answers. But
there you go. Okay.
So I'm not sure. The one thing I will say about the thing that's interesting is that Qui-Gon's body doesn't fade when he dies, like Yoda's does and like Obi-Wan's does.
That's a good point.
Although originally it did, in the script it did.
Oh, really?
But he didn't.
Interesting.
Yeah. And and of course Qui-Gon's the only one whose body isn't seen as a Force spirit, right? So, not that it's necessarily a physical thing, because of course it's not shriveled up, gross like egghead Anakin body in Return of the Jedi that is preserved. It's his spirit. It's who he is. It's his good self. But I just like that it sets up the surprise that like when Qui-Gon survived and he's still around in Revenge of the Sith. If he disappeared, that would have been a huge like, wait, what, for the audience going like, huh, wait, what's happening? Especially for someone especially if you had seen 4, 5, and 6, you saw Anakin or Obi-Wan fade and Yoda fade, you wouldn't have thought, well, we're never going to see Qui-Gon again because his body didn't disappear. But then we do.
That's cool, and I actually really like that. I like how there's like a specialness to that. When it's not the way of every single Jedi. I kind of like that. It's unique to Yoda and Obi-Wan. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, they were trained in a certain way. Yeah. Yeah. And credit where credit is due. Jar Jar isn't being an idiot at the funeral. He's being quiet and staying in the corner, being sad. He's not not being ridiculous. He has a sense of the time and place for. I just always liked seeing Jar Jar there.
I was going to comment on that.
I always like seeing when Jar Jar's being serious, when he's actually being
absolutely,
appropriate for the situation.
I really appreciate that. He's the only one here really showing any emotion at all, and
it's true.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you really get his innocent heart. You really see that, and you really just see he is just pure innocence.
Yeah.
And he and Archer are the only ones that make any kind of whimpering noise here. I just think that's kind of a neat, nice touch.
It's true. Even when he is still the most expressive person, even though when everyone else is kind of normally expressing, he's going crazy. When everyone else is kind of like, quiet and shock, he's, emoting even more. That's true. Good point. Good call.
And I like the scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan here too, because it's awkward.
Yeah.
And I think it's supposed to feel awkward, where Obi-Wan just kind of turns to look at him. And these two haven't really interacted. I mean, a little bit, but
yeah.
It's just I don't know. Like you're meant to feel that this is weird. This isn't the way it was supposed to be.
Yep.
It's like the two brothers now have to figure this out, or like almost like the stepdad comes in with the kids now. It's like I don't really know what we're gonna do, but here we are. It's a weird relationship, and I like that. That's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
that's a great call.
Thoughts on that one? On this one?
Basically what you just said there, that was a really good call. Yeah, where it's a what a way to start a relationship with someone, right? Like this person you both looked up to is dead. Like what now? Like, well, we're kind of stuck with each other, and and it's kind of embarrassing for Obi-Wan. It's like, well, I really didn't like you, or wasn't that interested in you. I was kind of like, you seemed like just an unnecessary baggage to me before, and so sorry about that. But hey, you want to be stuck with me for the next 10 years? And, it's like not ideal, but of course they'll grow to love each other very, very much by the time we get to the next film. And it is a very a rocky start to a relationship that will go to very, very good places, but there will be a sad ending to it, of course. Actually a happy ending technically, but their physical lives will end sadly, but their spiritual lives will continue to a happy place. But it is it's just the moment, like the councils, even though we heard it before with Yoda and Anakin, it's great to see Obi-Wan and Yoda. It's great to see Obi-Wan and Anakin Obi-Wan say it to Anakin's face, and to have that interaction, like, you will be a Jedi, I promise. Like, that's Anakin's getting his wish, right? But it's not in a way that he really wanted. You know, that this is Anakin's victory in a way. Like, his whole life, this whole movie, he's like, I want to dream of becoming a Jedi. He finally achieved his goal, but it had a big price, which was the Jedi who freed him, the Jedi he looked up to, the Jedi who, you know, no one can kill a Jedi. That's Anakin said that to him, and that Jedi died. Yeah, and I don't. It's weird, probably just because I grew up with this movie and watched it so many times, probably before I was even, you know, aware of what the movie meant or what was happening. I just kind of, Qui-Gon's death never really hit me, you know, because I always knew it happened.
Right, me too.
But seeing how people react to it when they watch it for the first time, like, I'm weird. I'll watch those YouTube reactions of people watching Star Wars for the first time, because it's really fascinating. Because, like, okay, I know too much, so this person knows nothing. What do they see that I don't? You know, and Qui-Gon's death really hits them, and it's like, yeah, that is a huge loss. That's a huge deal. Because again, he was our introduction to the Jedi. He and Obi-Wan were the Jedi as far as the audience was concerned for most of the movie until we got introduced to Yoda and Mace Windu. And they're still the main Jedi throughout the whole movie, that we don't really get to spend much time with anyone else. And so when we lose Qui-Gon, it's a huge loss, huge blow to the audience. And from now on, our first impressions are important, right? So our first impression of the Jedi was Qui-Gon. And so now we'll be measuring every single character who goes on that Jedi path against him. He becomes the rubric that we measure everyone against throughout the rest of the story. And so, and so to lose that is, you know, it's so great that he was such a great Jedi. You know? And we see Obi-Wan live up to that expectation. We see Anakin live up to it and then fail. And then we see Luke, you know, on his journey as well. And so Yoda start to become, go on that journey as well. So it's just cool to see that Qui-Gon has become this marker, the benchmark, I guess, the precedent that everyone that is set, that everyone else has to follow. So,
that's so fascinating.
It's tragic that he becomes that way just by dying, but it is very useful for the rest of the story for the audience to track how everyone's making progress.
That's a really good point. I'm so used to this, even if this is your first time watching the Phantom Menace in light of the original trilogy. We all know Qui-Gon's not going to make it. So I know for me, like, it wasn't a big shock. As a kid, but also, just as a fan, I think. But I just think that's interesting. I would never have thought about that. But this is your only experience to Star Wars. Yeah, I can see that'd be a big deal. You just lost the main character, essentially. From what, this is all you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
And I just thought about this. Then it's a shock again in Revenge of the Sith that, Qui-Gon does make it, you know, because when you see Phantom Menace, well, you know he's going to die. So it's a surprise for you original trilogy people that Qui-Gon actually makes it in Revenge of the Sith. And now I'm thinking, I never thought of this before, but is Qui-Gon actually there at the end of Return of the Jedi along with Anakin and Yoda and Obi-Wan? We just can't see him. He's just in there watching Luke, and Luke just doesn't even know he's there.
Yeah, there you go. Probably.
That's kind of weird. So it's kind of something weird about that, but
I would be.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, I just thought about that.
That's cool.
But
yeah.
So it's funny because we go from a funeral. Oh, it's actually, sorry. Let's talk about Obi-Wan, or Mace Windu and Yoda's conversation real quick. I almost skipped that. It's so important. Oh, Josiah, what are you doing? Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one, man.
Yes, well, because we learned there are always only two Sith.
Good point.
And so there isn't some bigger Sith order that we haven't visited yet. Like, we start with two Jedi, we start with two Sith. We found out there was a Jedi order, but now it's important to know that, okay, the Sith are hidden. It's just these two. Now there's just one. And so there's some Sith order that we didn't know about. And so the audience knows now something. For the first time, the audience is kind of like ahead of the characters in the movie, where Mace Windu and Yoda don't know if Darth Maul was the master or the apprentice. But the audience does. The audience does know that the master is still out there. That's one of the rare times that the audience knows something that the characters know such a huge piece of information that the characters don't. Because Star Wars is such a weird foreign world to us that we're kind of learning things about it as an audience, where a lot of these characters, you know, like Jar Jar, you know, he's used to being in the Gungan city, and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are like, whoa, this place is crazy. You know, sometimes the audience is with the characters. We're like, what's happening here? A lot of the time. But this is one time where the audience is kind of, where the characters are in the dark and the audience knows, and like, oh no, you know, like, you guys know there is one still out there. And, you know, especially now that we know the Sith are so dangerous, the audience is kind of in a particular place. We're like, we know there's a threat to the Jedi, and the Jedi aren't aware of how in danger they are. And of course, that fantastic shot of panning over to Sidious, which I totally missed as a kid, because nothing happened, nothing's moving. There's no, no lightsabers, no Jar Jar run around being silly. I'm just, it's just Palpatine, cool. And he's sad. And everyone else is sad, right? But just again, in hindsight, or even if you're watching it for the first time, you're like, okay, something's up with Palpatine now because of that shot. It's our first indication of that, which is it's done so well.
Oh yeah, what a cool scene. I mean, just I have a kind of pause right there, and it's just such a cool scene. It's very artful, where you can see Palpatine, Padme, who's actually showing emotion here again. She's really upset. Obi-Wan and Anakin, who's very faded, but you can see him. It's just kind of a really neat just lineup. Yeah, that's a great point, man. There's so much. I'm really curious. Maybe we should see if we can find someone who's never seen Star Wars before, and like on one of our wrap-up videos, we have them be part of it, who's just seen episode 1 and be like, what do you think of this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
I can't
It is cool. I highly... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, I just can't even fathom what that's like. Like how... Because, like you said, we grew up so familiar with this. Even with old trilogy, like the old trilogy, original trilogy, like greatly influenced the way I looked at this, Because I knew what Palpatine was. I mean, it was not a surprise at all to me. And I knew who Anakin was going to be. And I knew who Obi-Wan was going to be. And I knew Qui-Gon was going to make it, And it's just, oh, man, to watch that with fresh eyes, I just can't. Whoa. So different.
Yeah. I recommend it. Go on YouTube and find, Star Wars reaction for the first time. It's fun to see these people go like... And there's only one I found where they actually went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost everyone goes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. But one person did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it was so cool to see that because when Anakin shows up at the end of Return of the Jedi, she and goes for him, like she just lost her mind. She's like, what? She's like started crying. She's like, what? She didn't expect that. She was so happy.
Oh, that's cool.
Because she knew, because if you watch it 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, you don't know who that guy is. Like, oh, maybe is that supposed to be Vader? Is that supposed to be Anakin? But 1, 2, 3, if when that surprise of and the whole she was totally surprised that Anakin turned into Darth Vader. She was so surprised that her hero, fell to the dark side and was so excited to see him come back and was so worried about Luke the whole time because she had that present of Anakin. Like she can see Luke making the same mistakes and like, oh, is he going to turn into Vader like his father did, or is he actually going to make it? So the victory of him not, throwing his lightsaber down and not turning to the dark side was such a huge thing. So that was so cool to see that. So I recommend watching if you know Star Wars really like too well. If you're a fan like us and you've seen it a million times, it is fun to either share it with your kids or a friend of yours who's never seen it and really just watch them. You don't need to see the movie. You know exactly what's happening on screen. You have it memorized. Just watch them and see what their reaction to it. It's so cool because you'll notice things that you couldn't have noticed because you're so used to it. You can't see the wood for the trees, right? So I recommend it. It's fun to see that.
Yeah, they'll probably come on and be like schooling us and all this stuff. They're like, how did you miss Padme's arc in episode 1?
It's like, because I was a little boy and girls are dumb and I'm not going to pay attention to it. That's honestly half of why I didn't pay attention to it. And I just stay in that mindset for 20 years. And then finally now I look at it and go, oh, duh, there's this whole arc happening that I wasn't paying attention to before.
How did we miss all this, man? I know. I'm sure someone who's just watched episode 1, only episode 1, would just be like, guys, come on. What are you thinking? Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. So
yeah, and for those listening, we're recording this like a week before Phantom Menace is in theaters for its 25th anniversary, and so there could be people watching it for the first time in theaters who will have that exact experience. Like, whoa, like and it's cool that another group of people will be able to, another generation or anyone from any age will be able to experience this movie in theaters and watch it for the first time. And we're both excited to see it in theaters as well. Man. But it's so cool to, it'll be very special for someone who there's gonna be a lot of people who get to see it. This is their first experience for it, and so who knows how that's gonna. I envy them.
I do too.
I say that.
Yeah, it's cool. Absolutely. So the thing I have to comment on here is again the music. So good.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I love the music, and I forgot to mention this in the last scene. We get that little piece of the Imperial March with Yoda talking about Anakin.
Yep.
Oh man. I
forget that. Yes. Yeah.
So good. And just that little nod to exactly what's going to happen. You can tell Anakin's entire future in these last 5 minutes if you pay really good attention. And also, I love the parallel. We'll come to this in Revenge of the Sith. But this same, I don't know what the name of the song is, but the death song that's being played here is exactly what happens for Padme's funeral at the end. And Anakin's funeral, essentially, with Vader, right? And Revenge of the Sith. It's the exact same song. And I love it. it's just such a not only is it a beautiful piece of music, but just the poetry in it, like George always talks about. Like wrapping up the prequel trilogy the same way. Episode 1, Episode 3, the end, kind of the same way.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, so good. So good. And yeah, the little pan to Palpatine, the foreshadowing in these last few scenes, just amazing. Just amazing.
Totally. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that one?
I'm good. Shall we do it? Shall we go get the last scene of this movie?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, so we go from a funeral and we transition from that to what is essentially a wedding. Two cultures coming together, right?
That's cool.
And it's daylight. It's nighttime. Everyone's sad now. Exact opposite. Everyone's celebrating. Everyone's happy. It's a celebration. And it's these two cultures coming together, being united. And they exchange this token of their bond, right? It's like it's like it's not a ring in this case, but it's this I looked it up. It's this sphere of peace or something like that. I can't remember. It's got a name, but duh, because he lifts it up and says peace. But but it's just a visual symbol. She's dressed in white. It's very wedding like. And so I just like the kind of duality of just going from a funeral to a wedding, to ritualistic, to rituals that have a lot of meaning. One very, very sad, one very, very happy. But and every Star Wars movie, of course, ends with a musical sequence. This is, I think, the only one that has dialogue, though.
Yeah, I think
most of them are silent.
Wow, man, there's a quote George said about this. Let's see if I can find it. How basically he just likes to have the last 2 minutes of every episode just be music.
Yep. He said it several places. Yeah, it's a big thing for him. I think it's in the commentary. It might be in the archive book too. But yeah.
Oh goodness, I don't know if I can find it.
Which is so great, because that's as you look for it. I'll just ramble a little bit more. But that's Lucas going into his favorite thing, which is visual storytelling. His early short films, there was no dialogue; it was all just visual stuff. His first film, THX 1138, is very visual and very montage filmmaking. There's not a lot of the story is told without dialogue, and he's talked about it several times, and we've talked about how he thinks of these movies as silent films, and so each movie kind of ends the way a silent film would. This scene reminds me of a movie that I love, a silent film called Metropolis, where at the very end, two cultures, two sides of the same world, two cultures that or two parts of society that were at odds are united, and they like literally the last shot is them struggling to shake hands, and this one guy unites them, brings their hands together, and they these two disparate parts of society are connected for the first time, and that's literally the last shot of the film. And so this reminds me of that. It is a very similar scene, with silent filmmaking. And of course, John Williams, it's time for him to shine, and with his great music and member sound effects. Yeah, it's always loved this, and the music is awesome. It's a fun kind of marching kind of like parade music. Yeah, which is appropriate because it's a parade.
It's really good music.
yeah, totally.
I never thought about like how it's intentionally designed. I think I remember reading this. Like the voices are supposed to be that we hear in the music here are supposed to be sung like by people in the, like it's supposed to portray this actual singing happening. I think.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know
from the crowd or like the kids or something. But I remember reading that somewhere, and I thought it was in the archive book.
That's cool. I remember coming across that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear like kids laughing in the and there's like sounds of like a crowd, and which actually makes sense since you hear Jar Jar talking and Boss Nass saying peace and all that. And,
shoot, I can't.
Yeah, there's more. This might be the only ending sequence that has sound. No, that's not true. Episode 2 has sound effects at the end. And so does Revenge of the Sith. So, but it's just no dialogue. This is the only one that has dialogue, I think.
Yeah, not much though, right? I mean.
Yeah,
I just noticed
Empire has
for the first time that Jar Jar says hello everybody. Did you know that? I didn't know.
Is that what the subtitles say?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know he said something. I couldn't remember.
Never knew that before. I didn't even know he talked. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was a side note. But speaking of dialogue,
yeah. I think it's interesting. I think Empire has the shortest like silent sequence at the end, because it's really just because there's a lot of dialogue leading up to Lando and Chewie taking off, and Luke and Leia looking out the window. So that's very, very short. I don't know if it's exact like how long it is, but I think Revenge of the Sith might have the longest one, or maybe it's Return of the Jedi. I don't know, hard to say. But
yeah, I'm not sure. I couldn't find a quote,
count,
but yeah.
I guess if you count Chewie's, barking or yelling as dialogue, then I guess New Hope has dialogue at the end of it. But and R2 makes some noises too. But yeah, and again, just because I'm a film nerd, there's a lot of references here to older films. So that wide shot of the parade, so kind of the pans down. There's like the ships flying over that arch. That shot of them panning down. That wide shot of the parade. And also the funeral pyre scene from before. Those are homages to the film The Fall of the Roman Empire from 1964. And yeah.
Wow.
And that yeah, and the let's see, and then the parade is very reminiscent of the parade from Ben-Hur. There's a parade in Ben-Hur that is structured very similar and looks very similar. But again, that kind of Renaissance architecture, that kind of Roman Italian feel is kind of in there. But yeah, like that shot, that painting, like there's like almost an identical shot from Fall of the Roman Empire, from where there's an arch with like horses on the top. Like it looks, and it pans down. It's like very almost like the exact same shot.
Wow, that's cool.
So yeah,
I could see it.
Just just quick thing there.
Yeah,
just to remind us that Lucas is always how he's influenced by so many things, not just mythology, not just Flash Gordon movie serials, but also just great films from the past. And yeah, it's so easy to look at Star Wars and just Star Wars and look at it through a Star Wars lens and not really look at all the things that influenced it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love doing that. That's my new favorite thing to do.
That's cool.
But yeah, I have a couple more things to say. But you have any other thoughts on this scene here at the end?
Yeah, so this is just, again, Nathan, but and as I was talking about the music, I noticed this again. This is one of the only times that I've seen on screen where the people on screen play what's actually being played. The soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. The music,
like if you watch the drummers, the Gungan drummers, they actually play with the drum part. That always bugs me as a drummer in particular, how like in shows and cartoons and movies, like they never match what you see on screen compared to the soundtrack. It's always different. So there you go. So I guess they are supposed to be singing this song. Like this is supposed to be what is being heard.
Oh yeah. So, kind of like the Ewoks at the end of Return of the Jedi. Yeah. It's like it's diegetic, to use a film term.
Yeah, there you go.
It's coming from the world, it's not part of the storytelling. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, well, there you go. The drummer's perspective. I never would have known. Yeah. Well, I have the same thing with violinists in movies. I'm like, they're totally not playing the song that's being played in the soundtrack.
Always bugged me. Anyway. Yes, I get what you're saying.
And they also play. That's true. And the Gungans also like blow the horns at the same time too, or whatever their little instrument thing is there. Yeah, and this is there's the one shot of CGI Yoda here that is interesting to me, because it's usually Yoda's performances from the performance in the original version as a puppet and this version as a CGI puppet match pretty closely. But in the original movie, original theatrical version, Yoda's smiling in this scene. At least it looks like he is to me. But in this scene, he's kind of scowling. He's kind of like, it doesn't look very happy with what's happening. And that is interesting to me. I don't know if that was Lucas changing his mind, or if that's something he wanted to do originally. The puppet couldn't quite express it. But it makes me wonder, like, what is Yoda thinking? Why is he? Because we know he was kind of perplexed in the scene before with Obi-Wan. We know why. But here I'm just wondering, like, what's up with Yoda's? Why is everyone smiling except Yoda? That's my question now, because it feels like a change. Maybe I'd have to look at those two shots more closely. Maybe Yoda looks. Maybe I just always assumed, again, because we have a revisionist history in our heads as Star Wars fans. We don't remember these movies as well as we thought we do. So if I look back, maybe he looks more concerned, looks more upset. But in this one, it really surprised me the first time I saw a CGI Yoda there, where he looked very, very different than the way he looked in other scenes. So yeah, I don't know if you have noticed that before.
No, I never did. That's a good catch. No, yeah. The only thing I'm noticing here is just how this again mirrors A New Hope. They climb up the stairs. They're awarded by the princess or queen in this case, and R2's in the same spot. Yeah. It's kind of fun. Little callback there. Yeah,
and I loved, you mentioned this one of our early podcasts, and I was very, very, it blew my mind. I was like, oh yes, like she smiles here,
Yes.
but she's wearing the queen makeup, and so it's
Yes.
sort of like this beautiful combination of Padme and the
Yes.
queen, where she's kind of united those two sides of herself.
She is herself now. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. She is ruling, which she's doing her duty, but she's doing it as Padme. She's not just playing the part of a queen. She's actually embodying it and being who she should be. And so the queen is no longer this kind of blank mask that's not emoting. Now the queen is smiling, the queen is happy, and she and Anakin smile at each other. Pretend. It's only the first time. It's the first time we kind of see where that could go eventually. When they both come back, when they both see each other again as adults, it'll be very, very different. But now they're both kids, and they're just happy. They're just good friends, and they're just. It's just fun to see Anakin in the Jedi. I always loved seeing Anakin in his Jedi robes too.
Yeah.
Seeing him with his Jedi haircut. We saw those at the costume exhibit too. And I remember it was cool to see that. Because as a kid, I always could imagine myself being his, because I was younger than him when the movie came out. But I could imagine myself, that older kid. When I could be Anakin's age, I could, that's what I would look like in a Jedi outfit. I was in the Jedi robes. I thought that was cool. And Obi-Wan kind of smiling at him, looking down at him, and kind of smiling like, okay, I made it. Okay, I could make a good Jedi out of him yet, maybe. This mop head kid from slave from Tatooine. Like, all right, we'll see what he's got. Like, he looks good as a Jedi. Maybe he'll make a good apprentice for me. Yeah, I always just love the scene. Jar Jar going woohoo. Jar Jar screaming Yahoo, and it's just a wonderful. It is a happy moment, and this is a much lighter film than the rest of the Star Wars films. Probably this and New Hope, I'd say, probably the lightest, especially in terms of the ending. Right. It's just so pure and happy, and just pure joy. Yeah,
and George commented on this in the archive book, how for this movie the symbiotic relationship is complete. Like the Naboo are all together again, the Jedi are working together, kind of thing. Like it's all, basically the Naboo part of it is the big symbiotic relationship that's been restored. Yeah. So you really feel that. You really feel like, there's a completion here. It's a standalone. Obviously threads are open still, but A New Hope, this one, they're almost standalone, kind of the same idea. The symbiotic circle is complete. Just a good celebration.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Until the darkness falls in the second movie.
Yes.
For both of them.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. So one thing I love about Lucas and John Williams is that the storytelling isn't over when the credits start. Even when the credits start, the storytelling keeps going because there's the music as we, Iris Out, directed by George Lucas. It's in the Starfield, the blue text. As we transition out of the Star Wars theme, heroic theme, we hear Anakin's theme, the full measure of Anakin's theme. And I don't know how much you've listened to that theme. For those who don't know, I know you have.
Okay.
I said that knowing exactly that you know this, but some people may not. But that if you listen to Anakin's theme, it tells his story because the intervals within the music there are similar to the Imperial March, where it's the similar musically, the structure is similar. I'm not a very big I don't know much about music, like music theory and stuff like that, but I know that there's the structure of John Williams talked about the structure. The song is very similar in terms of the interval between the notes and stuff. But even for those who don't know, it becomes even more obvious as the theme goes on. It starts to transition into the Imperial March at the very end. It goes dun 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 dun. Those notes are at the very end of this theme, and so you hear this. You hear this descent, this very innocent sounding song that descends into this slightly darker tone. It's not completely dark and ominous yet. So again, if you don't know Darth Vader's theme, you don't know anything about Star Wars, you're watching this for the first time, you're not going to quite pick up on that. It just will sound a little like kind of slightly melancholy, slightly weird. But his theme literally ends on a bad note. So so again, it doesn't. But the theme doesn't talk about the redemption. There's no like a happy ending, to the song where it goes dark and then it comes good again. So there's no. It's setting up that surprise, the surprise ending 5 movies later where Anakin is actually redeemed. But if you're paying attention, you do recognize that there's a fall there.
That's really cool. Yeah, I really appreciate the mastery of the music. It's just amazing, all of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my last note on Phantom Menace is that the end of the credits roll, and so the very end of it hints that the story is going to get darker because the very last thing you hear is this foreboding breathing sound, that you don't, if you've never seen Star Wars before, you don't know what it is, but it's Darth Vader's breathing. So if you're gonna, by the time this comes out, the movie will already be out of theaters. But
yeah,
I'm gonna stay at the end of the theater and stay at the end of the movie, to the very end of the credits, so I can hear that breathing sound.
That's cool.
Which is so cool, because that's the first time we hear Vader's breathing sound in all of Star Wars. Is the very last sound you hear in Episode 1.
That's really neat. Wow, the foreshadow is so great. Yeah. Nice. I love it, man. And then the only other thing I was going to mention on the end here is I agree. I really love seeing Anakin in the Jedi Padawan stuff. And it always made me a little bit sad that we never really got to see that. Even as a young kid, I remember going, "Oh, he looks so great," and it's over. Like you wore it for one scene. Oh,
I know.
But it is neat to see Padme and him just get this moment. The very end of the movie, it's like, okay. Yeah, I remember as a kid being like, "That has to be Luke and Leia's mom. It has to be."
Oh, really? You thought about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was really fun. And then I also think the scene with all the Jedi there is really cool, where you just get this look at all these random Jedi. We don't know any of their story, but you can just, we've talked about it several times, but just how good George is about that, just building a world that's lived in. And you can see these guys have stories just looking at them, with Depa Billaba and even Peel. Guy's missing an eye.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about this guy, but like this guy's been through some stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just pretty neat. I just really appreciate George doing that, taking a moment to just show off some of the costume designs and these random characters that nobody will ever really know. It's just kind of fun. So
it's true, yeah. And in fact, the Jedi kind of showed up they're there for the funeral, but they also show up for this union of the Naboo as well. Just shows you what they value, right? They don't just care about themselves, their own. They just didn't show up for Qui-Gon's funeral and leave. They stayed. They care about something like this happening for the Naboo. They have they're there about the Force is life, right? It's the flourishing of life is what the light side of the Force is all about, and so that's what's happening here, and that's why they're happy about it, except for Yoda for some reason. Again,
grumpy Yoda.
We'll see. I don't know, but I guess one thing I forgot to say in the funeral scene is that Mace is he's a believer now about the Sith return, and the Sith did return without them knowing. I forgot to mention that, but now it's made very clear to them that that's a huge deal. Now so it tells the audience, okay, not Qui-Gon, his message got through. Now everyone knows, okay, the Sith are definitely back now. The people who were against it, the Jedi who are like, again, it's an absurd claim. It's like saying Genghis Khan is back after 1,000 years. It's like, okay, no, actually, it's legit. It's true. It's happening. And so that was
that struck me too.
And that what sets up the Jedi being on the hunt or on the lookout for this other Sith for the next 10, 13 years.
Yeah, boy. And you have to wonder what Palpatine's thinking through all this.
Yeah, does he hear their conversation? I wonder if he can hear it.
Probably, I would assume so, right? But
he'd be like,
you just have to
please
wonder.
don't notice that it's me. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Wow, we did it, man. We did it. Yes,
we did it.
Great.
Fantastic.
Well, no podcast next week because we're going to be in the theater.
Exactly. Yes. No. Yes. Well, we're taking a break because we gotta watch the movie and with fresh eyes, hopefully, and see in the theater and see so many new things that we were like, oh, we could have a whole new series of podcasts to talk about the things we notice. I'm sure in the movie. So
yes.
Yeah. So from here, we'll figure out. We might do a couple episodes just to. An episode or two just to recap Phantom Menace, to talk about some bigger ideas, trace them from the beginning to end, maybe answer some questions that, especially, I think just the episode today has guaranteed that we're not going to get all the questions answered because there's like 50 of them that just you and I today were both like, I have no idea. We said I don't know so many times during this podcast today, but it was still fun.
Yeah,
Mystery's fun. But then eventually, we'll get to Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Maybe in time for that anniversary.
I have so many questions.
Hopefully it won't take us 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I love Attack of the Clones. Not very many people do, and I have tons of questions. I just can't wait.
Oh, I love this movie, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one, yeah.
Yes.
But Phantom Menace, you were fantastic. It was so fun to go through that. I loved every second of it. Thanks for the podcast was your idea, man, so thanks for letting us do that. Thanks for having the idea, because this has been so much fun.
I loved it. I still do. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I just can't wait. I'm just, 4, 5, 6, all of it. 2, 3, Clone Wars. I just can't. Yeah. I'm stoked, man. I'm committed. Yep. There's enough here to keep us going for years and years and years.
All right, that's it for this episode. Join us in the next one as we continue our series on the Phantom Menace. As always, thanks for listening, and on to the next one.